Go ahead, fire away.
What is the update on Joe?
Joe, everything's going good. We're just trying to limiting what he has to say and how he's got to use his voice through today. So it kind of works out because we're going on the road in a dome. It can be loud. One of the ways to manufacture what it's going to be like in the huddle is to whisper in the huddle. So it's kind of he's on voice rest a little bit, and we still get something accomplished with what we're going to face in Detroit.
So does that impact practice at all? Are you trying to manage it in practice?
No. I mean, we want to be smart with Joe, but he did everything in the walkthrough, and he'll go through practice as well.
Do you install more nonverbal signals?
Well, you're going to be nonverbal on the road anyway. And so it really, if it was a home game, maybe it'd be a little different. We'd have to think about it. But on the road, we still get some good work done with the nonverbal stuff, silent cadence, all that kind of stuff.
Any update on the COVID situation and other injuries that you can talk to?
No other COVID injury, no other COVID updates. We got the two guys, and they continue to go through the testing protocol, and they'd have to have back-to-back negative tests over 2 days to be able to come back. So that window is starting to close. We'll see what happens. Trey Waynes we put on IR, so he'll be out for a minimum of 3 weeks. It's hard to project beyond that, but that's tough for him. He's gone through this a couple times now since training camp started. That's the main one. Khalid Kareem will start on his 21-day window to come back, so we get a chance to get him at practice, see where he's at, and then make some decisions, starting now through that 21-day window of how we want to use him.
How did Joe Mixon come through the game? I mean, after playing and then, sleeping on it and all that.
Yeah, better. I think the time has been good for him. A couple days off here recently, so he's had good energy and seems to be moving around pretty good.
I don't know if you saw, but Brandon Staley said something about sack production and basically that hurries and pressures are more indicative of future success for a player. So I wanted to ask you on the offensive side of the ball, between time of possession, third down efficiency, and overall points per game, besides winning and losing, what's the most important stat to you guys as offensive coaches that tell you the story of how you're really doing in a season?
Points per drive, maximizing each possession and how many points we're getting per drive. And, our third down efficiency hasn't been where it needs to be, particularly 3rd and 1 to 5. We've been pretty good, 3rd and medium, continuing drives. But so on 1st and 2nd down, we're putting ourselves in the position that we want. Obviously, we want to get the first down on 1st, 2nd down. That's the easiest way to do it. But typically, the offense has the advantage on 3rd and 1 to 5. We put ourselves in those positions, particularly in the first half, and haven't taken advantage of them. And so that's something we got to analyze and make sure we're always doing the right things and putting our guys in the best position, executing, because that would put us, again, getting those drives to where we get more production out of the drive, we get more plays, we keep our defense off the field, we get the defense to wear down a little bit, and then we get more points per drive and can score more than the low 20s that we're averaging right now through 5 games.
What are the biggest ways?
I think that answered your question in some form or fashion. But
What are the biggest ways Jared Goff?
nice haircut.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we go with the same guy.
What are the biggest ways Jared Goff has impacted this offense and your coaching staff?
Oh, our offense. That's hard to say how he's impacted the Cincinnati Bengals, but I learned a lot the years I was around Jared. Every quarterback's a little bit different, and so you get a little chance to learn through them. What I always appreciate about Jared, he's a very clear communicator, and so if he needs more information or he has a feeling on something, that's important in the relationship between the quarterback coach and the quarterback, and the head coach too, the play caller with Sean. And so I always really appreciated that with Jared, is that you could get the information out of him to where you can then make the decisions you need to make for the betterment of the offense. And that was always, he was an easy guy to get along with. You always knew how he was thinking. That's a good thing to have, and I always appreciate that about Jared.
You showed a lot of Jared Goff film, you said, in 19 and 20. What were the big takeaways you were hoping, or how was that a part of the installation process?
Yeah, I thought Jared operated that system really well and had a good feel for it. 2 years there, won a lot of football games with Jared at the controls. He knew exactly how Sean wanted it. He threw on rhythm. He knew how to handle the run checks, and he played on time. And so, again, those were the things that as we tried to get this thing going, yeah, they saw a lot of Jared Goff tape, and obviously he got him to the Super Bowl, so he did a lot of great things there.
Things on the injuries. Mixon, do you expect him to go limited, or
Yeah, we'll still manage him. He gets a good workload. He's coming off the ankle injury, so we'll still manage him these next couple of days, but he'll be good to go for Sunday.
So Joe's command in the huddle is not preventing him from being limited in practice. It should be expected to go
No.
And then with Trey Waynes, does he require surgery on that hamstring or no?
No.
Overall, when you look at the offensive lines, the struggles on Sunday, you said you
I just didn't think we played as well as a unit as we had. I didn't think they played poorly. I just didn't think we'd played up to the standard that we'd had the last couple of weeks. He really took 2 big hits. One of them was a 6-man pressure look when we had 5 protectors. We can do a better job, but it's a tough look. And then the other one was when he scrambled. And there's not a lot of protectors out there beyond the line of scrimmage. Those are the 2 big hits. Anything else, I felt like was kind of just a push and shove. And so for the most part, I don't know what goes down as a pressure or hit, but he really took 2, and one of them we can do a better job of, and one of them he's got to protect himself as well.
Is that part of maybe learning kind of where the protections are going to be on each play, make sure you're staying within the protections to a certain degree while you're trying to extend plays, kind of find that balance?
On the scramble, he just knows. It's a hard one. When you watch it from his perspective, he's out on the edge. He thinks he can get it. I think I mentioned this the other day. 26 came in there like a missile kind of out of the side. I don't know what kind of vision he had on him. And so he took a pretty good hit. And that's just part of playing football, and we do want him to protect himself and slide when he can. And then the other one, Joe's got a great grasp of the protections. We typically do a great job communicating. That one just got away from us a little bit.
So does asking Joe to slide more, run less, whatever you do, does that change his effectiveness as a quarterback, his personality, his aggression, the way he plays, and things of the game?
I don't think so. I think that's all about learning how to manage a game over a 17-game season, and one of our team rules is protect the team. Joe protects the team by protecting himself. And he understands that, and there's a time, man, to put your head down and go get that first down. And then there's some times where we just got to assess the situation and be smart and keep us on pace for the next drive. And it may mean, in a sense, and this would be very hard for any quarterback to do, conceding the down a little bit on a 3rd down, when you're trying to run for it. But, again, it's just keeping him on his pace for the rest of the game, having him available so he can lead his team to victory. And that's just one of the things he's got to balance. And I think that he's done a really good job of that. And he always takes each new situation as his own and learns from it and tries to improve going forward the next game.
Aaron Rodgers apparently told him he needs to slide more or whatever after the game. Do you think when it comes from a peer and one of the best quarterbacks of all time, maybe it even resonates a little more?
It probably does. Those who've been through the experience are probably the best teachers in that regard. I would imagine Aaron probably has a couple on tape from 2005, 2006, back in those early preseason days when he was playing where he learned that lesson, and he's passing it on to the next young guy. So Joe's a quick learner. I always trust his decision-making, and we'll just continue to learn from these things.
The last 2 weeks, the coaching staffs have been interconnected by being on the same coaching staffs. You coach with head coach Fleur and others now, Campbell and others. When you have that type of situation, when you coach against a guy multiple times, you really get an idea of what they're thinking. When you coach with them, how different is that in terms of when you're trying to process that part of it?
Yeah, you can anticipate what's being said. They might be doing Oklahoma drill in their team meeting. That's just Dan's got that physical mentality, and that shows up. This is not an 0-5 football team when you turn on the tape. This is a team that's going to fight tooth and nail. They're not going to give you an inch. They've got a lot of injuries that they're pushing through. And they've been in a lot of football games that have come down to literally the last second of the game. And so our guys know that you got to throw the records out in this game. We got to fight on our hands. I got a lot of respect for their coaching staff, being around a lot of those guys in LA and in Miami, and just got tremendous respect for the whole football team what they put on tape. And our guys got to be ready to go.
Zach, as a play caller, how much is the early part of the game for you as more of a feeling out process, and how much do you ramp up your aggressiveness as it goes along? And in retrospect, maybe when you look at it, do you need to be more aggressive early?
No, I think that's kind of misinterpreted sometimes, because sometimes aggressiveness has got us in trouble, whether people see it or not. Just because the ball doesn't fly down the field doesn't mean that we weren't trying to be aggressive. Sometimes that's backfired and set us back a little bit. But to answer the first part of your question, it is we need to be better in how we attack teams early on and converting the 3rd downs, extending the drive. It is also a feeling out process. You're trying to put some things out there to see how they react, and that helps you kind of predict how the game's going to unfold in some certain different situations. So we just got to be better in the first half, get more points per drive. That's the key. Whatever, you look at Minnesota last week against Detroit, they had 3 first half drives, and then they had 8 in the second half. And so sometimes there's a half where you're just not going to get a lot of possessions. You don't score a lot of points. And then the second half, it's almost like you make up for it. You get a ton of possessions, you get more opportunities, and that can be in the first half and the second half. You never know which way it's going to go, and we just got to maximize those possessions that we get.
We saw Deontay Smith on the left side of that guard for most of
Yeah.
How many reps is he taking?
Quite a bit. Frank does a really good job of knowing once you get into the season. Early on, we're trying to see what they're capable of, and you want to put those young guys at one spot. Once you get into the regular season, hey, you're a backup now, and you may have to play left guard, right guard, right tackle. So he moves those guys around in a lot of the drills, a lot of the scout team work they do to get those guys comfortable, because you just never can predict at what point you're going to have to go in, and so he's been getting a lot of work at right guard as well.
What did you see from him adjusting to life as a backup? I know you praised his work ethic during the preseason. Has that been the same since?
Yeah, he's very mature. You know, he's not a guy that he's going to have to learn through his experiences, but he's got the right approach, and I think he's always been ready for an opportunity to be thrown at him, and it'll be exciting to see what he can do.
You talked about the window closing for those COVID guys. Does Jackson, as a rookie, have to practice by tomorrow to play, or?
We'll assess it day to day. You know, we'll see what information gets thrown at us, but right now, you know, he's in the protocol, and so we just keep moving forward with Deontay.
Has your vaccination rate on the team improved since the start of the season, or stayed steady?
Stay the same. Well, we've added guys, so I guess in a sense, kind of some one-for-ones, so it really doesn't matter.
Going back to Dan, as someone who's been in the exact position he's in, have you reached out to him at all and said? You know,
Not this week.
obviously.
No, Dan. Yeah, well, I've talked to Dan a lot. Not in the last couple of weeks.
How's Hawkinson look to you, and how does Jared do?
Yeah, Hawkinson's one of the premier tight ends in this league, even though he's only in his second year, I think. And so he's really burst onto the scene. He's been a great weapon for them. He's highly targeted. He gets the most out of his targets. He's got a lot of production. Jared, obviously, you know, he had Higbee and Everett for a number of years, so he's used to throwing those tight ends, and he's got a good feel for those guys, and TJ's made him look really good as well. So he's somebody we've certainly got to be in tune with. They got two great backs that have had a lot of production in the runs and the passes, and they've got some receivers. I had Kadero Hodge in L.A. He was in Cleveland. He's a productive receiver. They got some guys out there. Mon St. Brown from USC, we really like him. So they've got guys that have stepped up, and we've seen this before with Stanley Morgan. Guys get opportunities, and they really show up, and they've got some quality guys that they're gonna do their best to maximize.